got this. Can you it still sounds good in your headphones? You can hear me.
I can hear you with or without the headphones. All right, we're ready. What's up, Mr. Stewman?
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up, brother? Welcome, man. Thanks for coming.
Here all the way from Dallas to Houston. You know, I don't get here very often, but it's cool that you've been able to take us on a nice little tour around the city today.
Yes, sir. I'm glad that you were able to get out here.
In Dallas, we eat top sirloin. Here,
Bottom
sirloin.
Bottom sirloin is the way to go.
Right. Hey, this shit was good.
Yes, sir. So we went to Chamagaucha. Shameless plug for you guys. One of the best restaurants in Houston. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yep. We looked that up, and it's your meat, my mouth. You know, it's
He made that up, folks. He made that up.
Google it. You know, Google it.
I'm so happy you're here, bro. So I've been rolling with you for 4 to 5 years. So I've been a part of Apex. You guys will probably already know the story. Ryan runs one of the most powerful masterminds in the U.S. You have a lot of awesome members.
A lot of cool people.
Means the world to me that you're here because, to be honest, I never fucking thought.
I told you I was coming.
Well, no, this happened last week, but I've been fucking rolling with you for 4 years.
Yeah.
If you would have come to our first shop, I wouldn't have a place to sit down and record a podcast.
and you know, we did come here for the podcast. It's just a nice little bonus, you know. And it's really cool to honestly come here and see, like, y'all don't know this. Maybe you do know this, but you probably don't know this because I didn't know this and I pay pretty close attention. But Patrick's shop, there's 2 shops here that he owns that are, you know, about a block apart from each other. And then they're about a quarter mile, seemingly, to the place where they started. So it's cool today for me to come here and see where we got started at. And how long you been in America? 2014?
2014.
Right? So 2014 comes to America. I'm sure it wasn't immediately that you got that spot over there. What year was that you got the spot over there?
We got that spot in May of 2018.
2018. So 4 years in the country, right? 4 years in the workforce. Decides to
employed,
right. takes you know, goes and takes this risk over here and has this place where they literally are working in the sun. Now, those of you that listen to this in, let's say, Michigan, you're probably like, I don't see the big deal with working in the sun.
You've never been to Houston heat, baby.
Let me put it. Those of you in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you might be like, I don't understand the sun thing. That's no big deal. But in Houston, Texas, that is probably the worst, most muggy, sweaty. Sweat gets in your eyes when you're working. Like, it's rough down here. And these guys are doing it, making it happen. You said you could keep 4 trailers on the lot?
4 trailers on the lot at a time working.
And got to a point where they were stacked around the block.
Lined
up around the block.
Yep.
Decided it was time to move. Bought another place over here that's 50,000 or so square foot, or leased another place over here, 50 or so thousand square foot.
Yes, sir.
And these guys, they manufacture it from scratch. Like, they just got like pieces of metal laying in the back that they turn into these trailers that you see in front of you. It's a really cool process. And how long were you in the new place before you got this place that we're in now?
So 2018, we moved into the new place in 2020.
Okay.
Right in the middle of the pandemic, August 2020, we signed that lease. And then 2 years later, we signed February 2022. We signed this.
So this is real new.
This is a year old.
A year. Okay. Gotcha.
Yes, sir. Hey, we wouldn't be here without all the shit that we've learned. And it's not shit, but, you know, that's how I speak.
That's just how we talk.
It's actually not shit. But the things that we learn in Apex this is the results from actually doing the work.
It's really cool. What they've got is they've got a situation where they're putting them together in one place and then doing the finish out over here in the place that we're at right now. So what you're creating is you're like the Nicaraguan, you know, Henry Ford. You know, you've got an assembly line over here.
We do.
Yeah, you really do, though.
Yep.
You know, you've got your prefab stuff and everything set, and I can see the progression. It goes outside, inside, 2 lanes down, comes out, goes over here, gets wrapped, goes into prefab, winds up on the driveway, and gets driven to wherever it's going. You've got an assembly line that's just got 50% in one location and around the corner is the other 50% of the assembly line.
We got a long way to go and a short time to get there.
Yep.
Did you when I came in, I think I'm still the only food truck guy in Apex.
The only one I know
that builds them, right?
Yep.
There's some food truck operators.
Yep, there's some owners, but you're only manufacturer I know.
How does it feel like to see the results of your members when you see it in person? Like, you knew this, right? But you hadn't seen it. You hadn't seen the progression, right? I've seen it, right? I've felt it every day. But as the leader of a movement like Apex, how does it feel to actually see that kind of stuff go down?
Rewarding, because rewarding's not the word. Let me explain. Let me give you the story here. I think it'll help better. It's for the people. You understand this, obviously, but obviously it feels amazing, but it's never who you would think. I've learned the wisdom at this point. In the beginning, I was an amateur at this too, but people come in, Patrick, and they join Apex, and I don't take personal coaching clients, so that's not something that I really do. I have 2 or 3, but that's not something that I open the door to. So people come in and they join Apex and they say, Ryan, I'm gonna be an example, which is what we're looking for. It's what Patrick is somebody that is an example of what Apex can do, right? Somebody who's got everything going for them. They're a winner. And a lot of people come in, almost everybody, it's like, oh man, I won't let you down, I'm gonna be an example, blah, blah, blah. And time tells a different story. And usually the people that you see, this is how I thought in the beginning, the people I see that are the loudest, most attention needy people that are telling you they're going to do the work, those are the ones I put the most faith in because they're giving me their word. I'm a man of my word. Mm-hmm. So if you're giving me your word, but then there's people like Patrick that comes in. They make no promises. They go in the entrepreneurs program at the time and did the work, graduated through the entrepreneurs program, came into the executives, continued to do the work, never stopped. Built the group, did all the shit that a lot of people refused to do, and was quiet about it. Didn't have to brag about it the whole way. Never promised, hey, I'm not going to let you down. Blah, blah, blah. Just like fucking did the work. That's what I appreciate, because I noticed that more. And I'll never forget. It's been a couple of years. You called me to be on your podcast, or not your podcast, but a live stream.
Facebook. So we have a Facebook group with food truck owners.
Yep.
And it was the beginning of the pandemic. So I thought, who better to inspire, lead, motivate, to help these guys pivot? And you said, absolutely, I'll fucking do it. Set it up.
And I thought, this guy's got, at that time, there was probably 50,000 members of that group, or was there more?
In that group, there's about 40,000.
Yeah. And so, like, man, this dude's got a food truck Facebook group with that's a lot of F's, with 40,000 people in it. And I'm like, if this guy will come in and do the work in Apex, there'll be something of this. Like, this is the kind of shit. Because think of how many, food truck is an obscure business.
Very niche.
Very niche. Mm-hmm. It's not like people waking up in the middle of the night like, we got to get a food truck. Like, it's not like, a life-threatening thing, or it's a luxury, a business. It's not a big community. And you found, at this point, over 100,000 people to be a member of that community that are interested in it. You've made it cool and all this other stuff. But there's people that every day they're in the food truck business. They're like, nobody would want to be in a food truck group. That's stupid. You know what I mean? There are people every day that sell insurance, and they're like, nobody would want to be in an insurance group. Or there's people every day that sell alcohol that are, bar owners. Nobody would want to be in a social group on the state. Like, people just discredit the little simple things. And you were like, hey, you know what? I'm going to build a Facebook group.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go live in there. I'm going to make posts in there. And we were discussing earlier today, you said you get 10, 11 deals a month from that thing, right?
Yep.
From a fucking Facebook group, y'all.
For free.
Your average ticket here, let's call it $50,000. So we're talking $500,000 a month, folks, from a Facebook group. What was that key phrase you just said? Repeat it.
For free.
That's right. And that's part of what we teach in Apex, but also part of just you doing the work. You know what I mean? See, the folks watching, they say, oh, Patrick's got 40,000 people. It's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? I'm going to do that. And, 6 months from now, they don't have 4,000 people.
Start at zero, folks.
They realize how hard it is, and then they give up. But here you are, 3 years later, right? You've been running
the Facebook group?
Yeah.
4 years? I started it when I joined Apex.
Yep, 4 years. Oh, did you? I thought you had it before.
No.
Oh, that's even fucking cooler. All right.
I started it because I learned it.
Yeah.
So start a Facebook group.
I thought you had it before. So no, even better. There's
now we
an
have
example
3.
right there. Yeah.
For a total of about 160,000 people.
Yeah.
I bought one actually.
That generate $500,000 a month in sales consistently, predictably, by doing a few things. Like, think of the power of that. Meanwhile, there's a lot of people that's, it won't work for me. You know, I made a group for, salespeople, which is a very general term. Could be anybody.
Yep.
And, over the years, it's taken me 10 years roughly. We've put 100,000 or so people in there, a little over 100,000 people. Same process, man. And it's, we pull leads out of there every month. Probably same thing. Probably $500,000 leads, $500,000 in sales every month from Sales Talk. And that's probably pretty accurate. I think we do $5-6 million a year in sales just from that Facebook group. Just keeping it.
That's only one piece.
Yep, it's one piece.
One piece of what I've been able to learn.
Yep.
I didn't know how to run social media. I didn't even know. Look, listen, Ryan's been in this game for so long. I think I've heard you tell this story, but since you joined Facebook, you knew that how powerful it was. I didn't know how powerful it was. I use it terribly. I used it to socialize. I used it to share stupid shit. I used it to share fantasy football news. I used it to share St. Louis Cardinals stuff. And at the end of the day, it's a tool that if you use properly can change your life.
And you can even mix those things into it if you know what you're doing.
If you know what you're doing, not concentrate.
Right.
But those only parts of a process that you teach that you obviously learned yourself, and you learned a lot from other people because you decided to invest in yourself. So I'm really grateful to be a part of that group. That's why, shit may go fucking sideways in our business, but if I keep investing in a group like Apex, I know that I'll find the answers.
I feel that way too. I always say if all this shit goes out the window, I'm going to knock doors for Kurt.
Hey, Kurt, we're coming, baby.
No, we ain't.
Selling.
Hopefully, I've never fucking worked for you, bro. But in the event that fucking shit goes south, you're my backup plan. Damn it.
You can sell food trucks too, bro.
That's right. Do you know how many things would have to go south for me to go south? I have so many different businesses. I wrote a book in 2014, and at the time, it was like when you make a little bit of money, but maybe you've outpaced your friends and family, and you think you have a whole lot of money, but then you get around people that have a real whole lot of money, and then you realize, like, oh shit, I got a long ways to go and mature in my financial journey, right? Life isn't, I know for the people, life isn't all about money, but in this instance, for me, it was like that same experience. I wrote this book, Bulletproof Business, and at the time, maybe I was worth $1 million or $2 million, and I'm thinking that's a lot of money, And it is. I'm not shitting on anybody that's worth $1 million or $2 million, but if you're just now reaching $1 million or $2 million in your life, you're probably discovering that it's just the beginning.
Yep.
Right. It's like you don't beat one level of a video game and go, okay, that was a cool little thing to play. No, you're going to try to conquer the whole ass video game now, right? And that's what happens the most. Everybody thinks, I'll make $1 million, I'm gonna retire, right? Now you make $1 million, you go, shit. First of all, I got to keep this thing going, right? And second of all, you're like, that $1 million isn't as much as I thought. When you're running a business, now if you get handed a lump sum $1 million from the Texas Lottery Commission, that's a lot of fucking money. But over the course of a year or 2 years or 3 years, if you make $1 million and you're in business, you may not have kept $1 million. You may not have kept $100,000. It just depends on how things are, right? So I say that because back then I'm making a couple $1 million a year gross. So let's just assume if I sold my company, I'm worth $1 million. So I thought I had a lot of money is what I'm getting at. And I wrote this book called Bulletproof Business. And at that time, $1 million a year, let's just say that you got $80,000 a month. I know that's a little light, but $80,000 a month coming in and recurring revenue, right? Or whatever the hell, new sales, whatever you're doing for your business. And I've got money coming from affiliates, money coming from stock dividends, money coming from this and hustling. And back then I hustled art and all this other shit. And cheap art, not like, I don't want you guys to be like, I was an auctioneer at Sotheby's. I was just hustling like, graphics stuff. So, but I had, maybe at that time.
Not the digital kind.
Yeah, we weren't into NFTs yet. I have hustled NFTs too, though. But That's me. I'm always hustling, whatever at the time. Never like teaching courses or whatever, but I'm always trying new things. And so I write this book, Bulletproof Business, about diversifying the streams of income. I believe it's the first book. I believe it's the first, like Psalms 1:1 in the Bible says something to the tune of, may your tree be planted by rivers of living water. If we were to translate that into modern day English, like I know the Bible says modern day, but like modern day English, we would say a tree produces fruit, right? So the fruit is the results of labor. Yep. Okay, so let's think about this. Labor's work. The tree is we are the tree. May your tree, will we be planted roots by rivers. There's another word for rivers, streams of living water. The water is what feeds the tree and makes it grow, right? So it's got an abundant flow of things that makes it grow. So for me, I think in today's day and age, like we are the trees, right? So I need multiple streams of income. Right. That's what may my family's legacy, the tree, be protected and fed by multiple streams of income, right? And so I wrote this book around that process, that thought process. And, at the time, I was doing this on a small scale, but flash forward, it's almost been 10 years since I wrote this book. And we go through times like recessions, we go through times of changing of, 1 year everybody's rich, the next year everybody's competition, the next year after that everybody's broke. And during this time that we've been in business, 1 year you can't work. Like they told
Shut
some
you down.
people they couldn't work,
Couldn't leave your house.
And some of y'all, unfortunately listened to them. Don't give a shit what the government said. I don't obey speed limit signs or stay home from work when it's time to work. I got work to do. And what happens is, flash forward all those years later, then it really would take a whole lot to take me. It would have to, for things to crash in, for example, manufacturing and restaurants and real estate. And so I'm in almost every sector. And I'm not like too heavy in one or the other in the sense of, but it would literally everything would have to fall apart, because here's the decision that I made. Instead of going and buying a Gucci belt, right? I went and I never owned a Gucci belt in my life, or a whatever. I don't even know the styles, right? This is me. You see me on every interview wearing the same shit for fucking 10 years now, right? This is just me. But I took that money and I might have bought stock in LVMH, right? I might have taken that money, that $400 at one point, and put it into office furniture or something that's going to be an asset for me versus something that nobody's going to see underneath my shirt anyway. And years of doing that, finding, I get paid years. So the other day in the executives group, I was explaining that just in a day, I tracked my income sources for 1 day, and it was 7 different places just in 1 day that had paid me just one random Tuesday of the month for $18,000 from totally different sectors.
So like deposits coming into your bank account.
Coming in from shit, and none of them were from 2022. Meaning none of them were from moves that I made within the last 12 months. They were all, matter of fact, all of these were 3 and 4 year old moves. And so many people don't understand that. They think, and we have people right now that say, oh, I invested in this and they didn't pay, blah, blah, blah. It's like, give it a few years. Right now we're going through some downturns, so a lot of investments are going to struggle a little bit. But man, I'm a person that tells you, if you just keep planting those seeds, right? Eventually some of them grow. And then when they do a few years later, it's like, oh shit, you got all these forms of income coming in from things that we kept. But what happens to a lot of people is they stop planting more. Oh yeah. They think, oh yeah, this stuff's coming in. It's how it's supposed to be. No. You got to keep that and reseed. You got to go to the next place, So
we were on a call a couple days ago with Bobby and a fund manager that you brought as a guest to speak to us in executives. And, the call was awesome, right? Talked about how to prepare during downturns and what to look out for, et cetera. But one of the things that stood out to me the most at the end is when Bobby basically said, take care of your business, right? I have a business here. We have a business of manufacturing food trucks. We've been through shit, pandemic, pivoting to start manufacturing our own trailers. And I made some bad investments in 2021. Money that could have stayed in the company. We decided to, and lo and behold, what happened? Bam, we run into cash flow issues. We get through them, we solve them, but I learned a lesson that I have to protect the biggest one first until I can start going out and start building these streams of income. What do you think?
No, I agree, and that's why you see right now these private equity companies, you hear them say they're sitting on a lot of dry powder, and that's fancy Wall Street talk for they got a lot of cash.
Right.
Right. Dry powder is a metaphor that they use, or simile, whatever the term is there, that they use for back in the military days. If they were going to go to war, they needed dry gunpowder to pack the bullets. So that meant that powder was the thing that made the ammunition live, obviously. So that's cash in today's society. So that's the nerdy white collar guys' way of sounding like tough guys, right? We got some dry powder, we got some cash, But I've made some bad investments. I made some good ones, and I made some bad investments. And in 2021 or 22, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 22. So it would have been 21 because we're in 23. My wife said, how about this year you don't invest with anybody else but you? Mm-hmm. See, 2019 and 2020, I invested with a lot of other people. And some paid out, some, I don't know what's going on, and some of them have been good, right?
Yep.
But in the investing world, the majority of them do not go well unless you invest in yourself. Because here's what I know. If you give me, I love you, man, but if you give me fucking money, I'm not going to treat it the same as if I work for it.
Yep.
It's human nature, If I go out and I bust up the concrete in the front of this place and pour a new side with a sledgehammer, and then pour a new sidewalk, put all the wood and the frame, the dig, the hole, all that shit, sweating, tail wiping off, take my shirt off, all the shit, go home, mud all down the shower drain of my shirt, and you give me $1,000, man, I'm gonna appreciate that.
Hell yeah.
If you just hand it to me randomly on the street corner, I'm probably gonna go buy weed and alcohol with it. You know what I mean?
Straight to the casino.
Like, God must want me to gamble. You know what I mean?
Going straight to the casino.
Exactly. And while that may be an extreme case, that's how people really feel about you. I don't care what they say. Oh, I have fiduciary duty and blah, blah, blah. Oh, the audacity. No, listen, man, if you ain't sweat for it the way that I sweat for it, you're not going to care about it the way that I care about it. And my wife said, so you shouldn't invest in anything other than your own stuff, and she didn't mean that I couldn't invest in Cade's business, if I'm investing in Cade's business, we business partners. I'm not a passive person. Right. It's something that I can control, something that I got a part of, right? And so I took that on, and in 2021, and started buying instead of doing real estate syndications with other people, I started buying a house myself. I don't need to buy into apartments with somebody and put $200,000 into $300,000 in a syndication. I just go buy 3 or 4 rent houses. They're going to produce the same $1,000 a month check with the payout at the end when I'm done with them anyway, if I buy them in the right areas. And then now I'm in control of them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? No hidden fees on me, right? And so that really began to be the change for me. But then I started thinking, so I've been buying, and I own, I don't know the number. I could sit here and count, but it'd take us a minute. Somewhere between 10 and 20, over 10, slightly under 20 rental properties, right? Houses.
Yep.
And I started thinking, okay, so I'm good at that. And I've been diligent about every year, $50,000 to retirement to buy stocks, right? It's part of your IRA and part of my IRA. Every year, at least buy 2 houses, you know? And now I'm at a point where Fannie Mae won't give me anymore, and I'm almost out of Freddie Mac. And I'm starting to have to put shit in my wife's name because I can't refinance them. You guys think, why would you do that? I can't refinance them because they're all in 2 and 3% interest rates. At this point, I'm having to buy the motherfuckers for cash because the interest rates are so high they don't cash flow, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And but I say that because I start thinking, okay, so I'm pretty good at this real estate shit, but how can I use that to fuel my main businesses, my software business, my seminar business, my consulting business? How can I get people? How can I leverage that? So we bought a building,
right?
And invested in my own shit instead of giving money to someone else to go syndicate for an apartment complex, restaurants, or crypto, or whatever the startup thing that they're doing is. I invested that back into my own business, and I'm telling you, it's been, first of all, the most financially painful, as moving into these places.
Anything that's worth doing is probably going to be hard.
Yes, the struggle makes you stronger,
right.
And these are the things that we got to tell ourselves to get through this shit, right? He's got his sayings, I've got mine. The bottom line is, just don't fucking quit, bitch. Just keep at it.
Keep going.
That's a fancy way of saying that. And and it was very financially painful, but now I learned something and have went through a process. Just like the first time you leased a big building, you were probably shitting yourself. I remember
I'm still shitting myself.
We were in and you may have been there this time, but it was Andy Frisell and I. We were in St. Louis, and we were at the hotel after hours. It was an Arte event, but it was after hours, and everybody had cleared out, and there was like four. It was like Ryan Williams and maybe Dan Fleischman, and maybe you were there. I think maybe Kale was there, and Andy came in. I got to talk to him for a couple minutes, and at this time I had was about a year and a half out from my lease on my stuff being up. And they had just built the First Form headquarters, or they weren't moved in it yet. They had just started building it.
Yep.
And I asked him, and I said, hey, you're building this huge place. What's that like? And he's like, man, I'd be lying if I wasn't nervous. We make a lot of money. And he's like, but, we just committed to, I think it's 300,000 square foot or whatever the fucking crazy number that he's got over there. And he's like, but we'll figure it out, And so flash forward 6 months, a year later, whatever track of time, I'm at Andy's house with Fleischman for the Summer Smash. And I met him at the First Form headquarters. So at this point it's open. And I think it was the first year that they opened it and threw Summer Smash there at the new First Form headquarters. And I said, I put a contract on this time the deal fell through. I ended up getting something different, but I said, I put a contract on a building, man. I'm nervous as fuck because I'm going to buy this thing for like, the building I got now is $10 million, but this deal was like a $3 million. I was like super nervous. Right. And I was like, so, any pointers, since you just went through this whole process and it's open, anything you can tell me, let me pick your brain, Andy. You just went through this process, like teach me, And he goes, I told you that I was worried about it and everything. He goes, as soon as we opened the doors on this motherfucker, we needed another 100,000 square foot immediately.
That's what happens.
And I kept that in the back of my mind because it's like, and I'm not taking away from anything, but I had to go through like some PTSD with this building. It took 6 months to get a fucking permit. So imagine making mortgage payments on an 8-figure building. You know what I'm saying? Yep. For 6 months before you can even fucking do anything. You know what I mean? Like,
because you didn't have permitting.
Yeah.
Certificate of occupancy. Nobody can walk through the door.
None of that shit. Can't do shit.
So you have that little certificate.
Yeah. And we had done everything you could do up to that point, but after that, you got to move the risers. You got to install this fucking inspection shit. It was 6 months because there's so much construction rolling around. I'm dumping out money, putting money into the construction, putting money into this shit, and the same similar struggles, right? And at the end, as soon as we fucking cut the ribbon on the property, the motherfucker's cash flowing, paying for itself. I'm in this place now cheaper than I was in my old office in the tower.
Not only that, you were spending on events.
Yep. Oh yeah, we're spending $1.2 million a year on events, so we save $1.2 million a year in fucking just that alone.
Yeah, right. That's its own business. So you already had a business in a business that needed a building.
But that's the kind of investment.
That's right.
Because here's what a lot of people happens, and you and I know I felt this way. I don't want to speak for you, but I'm if you hit me with an amen, we'll know what you mean. But for me in the beginning when I started making like, okay, you make $1 million, I know what to do with $1 million. Like the second year, you're like, well, I've already bought my dream car. I live in my dream home. Maybe I'll buy a Rolex, right? The third year, you're like, well, I own a Rolex and drive my dream car, live my dream home. My kids are in private school, like all the things. Like I have extra money now, right? The fourth year, I became a millionaire in 2005. So like the fourth year is like, all right, I have extra money now. The fifth year, it's like I have. At some point, you're like, this is a lot of responsibility. Maybe Patrick likes responsibility, and you give the money to his investment thinking he'll be more responsible with your money than you are. But you got to remember, Patrick didn't work for it. He didn't fucking work for it.
I didn't struggle for it.
Yep. And so, but that's what happens. Like, man, this money is a lot of responsibility. You seem like someone who's responsible with money. You do it. And that's how a lot of us learn because we're not necessarily these Ivy League, M&A, well-read people when it comes to money management. We're just dudes that are making money and figuring out how this shit goes along the way. Mm-hmm. Mom and dad didn't teach us these things because they didn't have these problems.
That's right.
And so we don't know what we don't know. We're learning it and everything else. And what happens is I went through a period where I thought somebody else would know what to do with my money more than me. And now I'm at a point where it's like, hey, I know how to invest my money into my things that help this bottom line. And again, that doesn't mean that I don't put money into, we have money into our deal that we're doing. That's something that we've made an investment into, but it's something that I have a control of. I have an operating part in, as opposed to just, handing it to somebody else going, man, I hope they don't fuck my money up.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like I have the ability to come in here and get my hands dirty and shit too, to be able to make sure the thing is profitable. Because here's the truth. If I was to take somebody's money, I don't know how I could face them and tell them that I lost it. I just don't know how I could. Like I could face somebody and be like, Patrick, I know you gave me $200,000 and I told you I was going to give you $250 back. And I'm a fucking asshole and fuck this whole deal up, but here's your $200,000 back. I just didn't get your interest. Hey, Patrick, I fucked up, man. Here's $180,000. It's literally the last dollar from my fucking bank account. I'll owe you 20 at some point.
I'm gonna pay you, but I'm gonna pay you.
But I'm gonna pay. You see what I'm saying? And I'm gonna, like, I couldn't just, hey man, it's zero.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know how anybody, but it happens every day. Happens every fucking day.
People are telling me my
zero.
shit's been zero.
I've been told it's zero too. Like, how do you even do that? Right. I wouldn't have the audacity to do that to somebody.
What I do is I personally guarantee all the money I take. I'll put my signature on it every fucking day. And if I put my signature on it, I'm paying it.
That's it. Whether it's a bank,
anything.
Yeah, same for me. Like
personal people have given us funds and personally guaranteed. If I have to go dig holes to pay people back, I'm going to go dig holes.
Yep. I paid people back from other people's. I learned that lesson before. I co-signed on somebody that lost somebody's money, and I paid that fucking person's money back from the person that lost it.
I know that story.
Yep.
Yep.
And, but I fucking signed on that paper. I gave my word, so I had to stick to it. If not, what a hypocrite I would be, And nobody wants to be a hypocrite. And nobody is until it's inconvenient not to be.
That's right. I know you're having a lot of fun with your ranch. I want to talk about, the decision process to, buying a ranch. It's obviously an investment for you, your family, but it's also, I know you're going to make it cash flow somehow.
Yep.
Right? It's not going to be an asset that doesn't produce. Talk to us about the process. Like, what made you decide right now to go in and buy a ranch and then doing everything that you're doing with the ranch?
Well, so when I was a young kid, my grandparents had a horse ranch, and my dad was a champion horse rider. And I lived that life till I was about 7, and then my dad disappeared, and maybe I was about 6. My dad disappeared. I ended up being adopted by another guy, and man, I don't really see my dad again. But but you know how it is when you're a kid. You're like, oh, my dad, he's a hero. He didn't leave me. He's just out chasing the dream. The bullshit you tell yourself as a kid, to keep from the disappointment. So I followed the horse world. My grandpa was always into it and everything else. So I remember playing with cars and being like, hey, I'm gonna have a big city office one day, and then I'm gonna also have a farm. And about a year ago, my wife and I committed to buying another house. Now, we live in an amazing house. You've had dinner there. I love this place. I don't want to move, but when a woman's mind's made up, man, and listen, I'm in a stabilization phase of my life. I'm stabilizing my companies. I'm stabilizing my investment portfolio. I've lived in this house longer than I have lived anywhere in my life. In my whole fucking life, I've lived in this particular house longer. I've lived in it 5 years, so that means I moved around quite a bit, but I like it, and I love the location. My neighbors are good enough and shit, you know what I mean? They don't bother me, and so anyway, we're going to go buy this house on the PGA golf course, right? And it's down the street in Frisco.
Fancy.
And we're going to fancy, man. It's going to be
fancy.
a $5 million house.
You'll be watching PGA championship from your
back
house.
Porch, right? Corona and Lime, and it's a $5 million house, and $2 million of it is just the dirt.
Damn.
Just the lot. And this is in 21. 22, midway through the year, things start getting a little shaky, and I kept telling them, like, God looks out for stupid people, and I would tell him, like, Yes, thank you. December 21. I'm like, hey man, where's the contract on this thing? You know, February, like, hey, I've been trying to track y'all down. Where's the contract on this thing? March, the rates start going up. Hey, where's the contract on this thing? April, the rates start going. So about June, they show up. Here's the contract. By June, no, hell no. We're going to have to, y'all want way too much money. And they got crazy terms. Non-refundable earnest money of $250,000 and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't know, cost plus 20%. Wait, costs keep going up, and you want 20%? Oh, no, you know. So, take 2 years before they can even build it. It's just so many red flags. And I told my wife, it's like, I'm going to cancel it. I just can't do it. I'm not going to sign the papers. It's not a good deal. And somebody's going to go bankrupt in the process of this whole thing, and we'll buy them cheap from them or whatever.
Yeah.
Turns out that golf course isn't the PGA golf course. I mean, they're going to play the PGA there, but it's open to the fucking public. PGA, like, you can't just be anybody and play in Augusta. You know what I mean? You can't just be anybody and play it. So it's a hybrid thing there. So it won't be as exclusive as other PGA places, right? And they told me it's going to be the PGA World headquarters. No, that's just what they call the place. It's not their fucking corporate offices and shit. It's not even their flagship place, right?
Just a PGA store.
It's just, but it's not that bad. But I mean, it's like they're making a bigger deal out of it. But then about 3-4 months later, they announced they're bringing Universal Studios to the same place. And so I'm like, man, I'm glad I didn't buy over there, because that place is going to be so damn congested between the PGA and, man, on a Saturday, if Mickey Mouse and Tiger Woods are in town, that's two cats. That's a cat and mouse game that's over with. You know what I mean? And so...
so you were basically paying for the golf course.
Yeah, and then lastly, I'm not like famous, but enough people know me around the area that I live in that I didn't want to be like on TV in my backyard, like smoking a joint or some shit, and they're flying drones because Tiger Woods fucking putting over there, because I don't know what part of the course I was going to be on. But so it's just like a privacy thing. And so anyway, I backed out of it, but I didn't really tell my wife. Yeah, so I was just like thinking of the right time, because it's her dream home and shit, right? And it's cool, babe. I'm going to figure it out later, but we're going to end up getting that, just not this time. And I'm like, man, they always say buy land, and about that time we start giving money to the Ukraine. And I have a friend of mine, I won't say his name, but they fly shit into the Ukraine on behalf of the government. And he's like, hey man, you really need to get your house in order. Just telling you, and everybody says that. But my friend came to my house for a special occasion to sit down with me and let me know what he knew. And again, shit, I can't tell my wife. You know what I mean? I can't tell you guys. Right. And so I said, all right. The next day I called this real estate agent friend of mine.
The next day.
I said, hey, I want to go look at land. I started looking at land that night all over the internet, Texas, Oklahoma. And I told Amy when we first started, it's like, I've always wanted to, in case one day we turn out like Europe, meaning we're all different countries and not states. Right? Texas is a country, Oklahoma's a country. We got free trade agreement, but we're a country.
Yeah.
Could happen at one point. It's what happened to Europe. And I'd like to have ownership in different states so I could get citizenship in 2 countries if I had to, as being a native, natural-born, first-generation owner. Mm-hmm. And that was just always one of my dreams, in case, because I'm always a prepare for the worst motherfucker, right? So I go up there and look at this property with Amy. And I'm like, hey, let's just look at this land. I haven't told her the contract's canceled yet, right? Let's go look at this land. What do you think about it? We didn't see nothing right. It was like, oh, okay, cool. Then the realtor calls back, said, I got an inside tip on some land I think you can get your hands on. You're going to love this place. You got to come back out and check it out. So I go back out there. Were you with me? Yeah, so I go back out there, meet Lacey, the realtor. She takes us over to the place that I now own. And once we made the first lap through there, and it doesn't look anything like when I bought it, but once we made the first lap around there, I was like, okay, write up a contract for this. I'll take it. And it was about as expensive as the house. Not quite, but pretty close to the dream house price, right? So we were literally shopping for $1 million worth of land to multiple millions that now all of a sudden I've agreed to, and I just backed out of a multiple $1 million dream home for my wife. And I ain't told her none of this. So I go home. And I explained that we own a ranch now.
This guy hadn't told her any part of like backing out from her dream house, looking at land that she doesn't know she's buying yet. Damn. Yeah.
But I know some things she don't know. You know what I mean? Like, but yes, I also know that I'm gonna be like seriously in trouble, right?
That's
I may
right.
not get laid for a month or so, but I'm gonna be
worth it, though.
I'm gonna be worth it. My family will live. So I buy this ranch. Tell her that that we're not buying the house, you know.
Okay.
And at first she acts cool. Okay, it's a cool financial decision or whatever. But then quickly, you know, it's like,
But we're buying a ranch.
but we're buying a ranch, right? That I'm gonna be gone to all the time, you know.
Yeah.
And the kids love it, right? They absolutely love it. And so now I'm living my dream, but she's not living hers.
Okay.
You know? And again, we live in an amazing house, amazing neighborhood. She would just had her sights on some stuff, but she also just didn't. Now we're on the same page, but just didn't understand that I needed a place, Patrick, that if Trump or Biden or DeSantis or whoever the fuck gets us in a damn war, I need a place to disappear to where I don't have to deal with humans. You know what I mean? Any more humans than I want to. I need a place to my humans, wife and kids, you know. I need a place that if I live on the PGA course, then in Frisco, Texas, and nuclear war happens, and people don't understand that's not the same as you think bombs. Like the nuclear stuff that they have these days, just make all your electronics not work. Car don't drive, jets don't fly, boat don't work, right? Just the phone don't work. It's that simple. Freezers go out. No food, it's fucking into the situation. It's that scary and simple, you guys. And so I need to be somewhere in a tank of gas that I can get to and I can eat. And my family can eat, right? Somewhere within a tank of gas that I can eat and my family. So I went and bought a 1978 pickup truck.
Nice.
Because that's not affected by EMP explosives.
Damn, you went like full down that.
Yeah. Well, but for me, that's like a good deal because I'm used to spending six figures on cars. So to go get an old truck for a couple $1,000 is fucking great, you know.
It's diesel, so you could probably find parts for it. I'm from Nicaragua. I know about old diesel trucks.
I can work on everything with a socket.
Yep.
So a socket and a Phillips and a flathead screwdriver. Work on anything on that truck, you know. And I went and spent some money on the ranch getting the lay of the land right. So like one lake flows into another lake. I built a road. We built dams. We reshaped the borders around stuff to where if I had to live off of it, it won't flood the same way that it used to. If I had to live off of it, now I've got points overlooking things to where we can see wildlife, we can catch. So I've got 14 lakes on my property.
Damn.
Okay, so there's plenty of fish, right? Yeah. We pulling 5-pound bass out of there like all day.
Dumping fish in there,
No, there are plenty in there.
There's plenty in there already.
And it's got a live running river that runs through the whole property. A half of a mile of this river runs through the property. They catch 100-pound catfish out of this river all the time.
Wow.
There's more bass in this river. I mean, it's big and flowing and tons of. I've seen some of the fattest American deer that you have ever seen running around this place. We see nasty hogs all the time, and the ground's very fertile. So
they're eating.
You know what I mean? There's food out there, so that if we got to go on the carnivore diet for a little while, we got this. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. And so my wife, she gardens, and so. Anyway, I have this place now set up to where we're like off the grid. We got our own gas station. We got our own barns. We got our own livestock. Got 120 or so head of cattle. We got horse. We got, you know, a place where we're starting to garden. Our house is under construction to be able to live off the grid. And it's not that I am a prepper. Here's what I believe. Be prepared for the worst and roll with what's going on, right? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, if the best is the situation we're in, that's awesome, but I want to be prepared for the worst. And guess what? So I never need to go out there on any doomsday shit. Praise God. That's what I hope happens because I just enjoy going out there and having fun anyway. You know?
It's a lot of fun.
It is.
And I'm sure Amy now sees her kids growing up. I grew up in a country where there was no roads, no infrastructure, so I know what it's like to grow up on a ranch pretty much.
Yep.
You know what it's like to grow up on a ranch. There's nothing better for kids than to grow up on a place where they have to use their hands and get down and dirty.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny, my daughter Harlan, you know, I brought her home from the hospital in a Lamborghini Urus, you know, and she's never she's flown like 10 flights and always on a private jet, you know what I mean? She just in a little car seat when she was a baby on the jets with us and stuff, but she also rides these tractors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's also out there. She was just there with us Sunday. But you asked about how I make money from the ranch is first of all, we are in the process of obtaining a shitload of grants. The government will pay farmers. You watch the conspiracy theory shit about cattle being burned and livestock being torn up and wheat fields being torn up and shit, and the government paying people to do that. That's true. And they're going to do it anyway. And they're subsidizing people to not build in places. Like for me, they'll pay me to plant grass. They will pay me not to plant certain things. They will pay me to fix the roads and shit that I put in there. There's like all sorts of grants that I get from the government not to turn that into a housing development and shit that. And not to grow certain crops there and to grow certain crops. So there's accumulation of that, which adds up to maybe 20 grand a year. Okay. And then I've got, which isn't a lot, but still. And then I've got cattle, which give me exemptions, which save me a whole shitload of money. And then they give me some stuff from there too. But I lease the cattle out again for about 20 grand a year to somebody else, right? Okay. And or lease the land out for the cattle for about 20 grand a year to somebody else. I'll probably put 2 guns on it this year. Meaning let 2 people that I know hunt. I'll probably charge them 10 grand each. So that's 60 grand that I've got from the property. But I'm having a pavilion built out there right now that cost me 10 grand. And once the pavilion and the house is done, the house I spent 500,000 or so on. Once the house is done, the pavilions, I'll be able to throw events out there. Oh yeah. So it'll be a deal where not an event to the public, but like a mastermind or even just like what my buddy Sammy does, just having clients like you that can go out there and crash for a couple of days and us, shoot guns or fish or ride ATVs or whatever the case may be, And so having that place, I read an article in Forbes magazine 10 years ago from a guy named Steve Seibold. And he said he bought a lake house in Mississippi, and it was the greatest investment and the biggest moneymaker of his entire career when he added up the amount of deals that he had done because of the relationships forged at that lake house. And that's it. I look at the ranch the same way, and every day, grown men, just like my kids, are like, hey, man, when can I go to the ranch with you? Tomorrow. So we're in Houston today. I live in Dallas, obviously. Tomorrow I'm headed up to my ranch. And there's an influencer that's got 2 million followers on Instagram, big bodybuilder guy, and he hits me up and he's like, hey, man, can I go to the ranch with you? Just like the kids, So it's something that people enjoy, you know what I mean? And then surely spending a day with that guy and shooting the shit will probably end up how to make $10, $20, $30,000 or $30 million by the time the day's over with,
That's awesome. Congratulations, bro. That's amazing, and something to, something I look forward to is getting something similar in my home country, where I can take my kids and, throw events or whatever. We're going to start winding it down. I want to talk about your event this summer, MDM.
We throw events.
Yeah. One of the best.
Yeah. We try to be the best. Yeah. When I first got into this event space, and we're one of the top people in the amount of events that we do and the amount of attendance that we have. And when I got into it, it was like, you come to, there's really like only a few types of events. You show up in an event and they're selling you something, right? And the whole time you're just like this, like a timeshare thing. Then you show up at some events and they're asking you for money for their whatever startup or real estate fund or whatever the case may be, right? So they're in your pocket. Or there's the events where the people are like, they're saying shit, but it really isn't giving you any information that helps you get somewhere. So I wanted to create an event where like real people that done real shit bring real information and help the people. And I know probably a lot of people say that, but the difference between me is I don't just say, Patrick, you want to speak at my event? And you're like, yeah, man, absolutely. Cool. What do you want to talk about? Right? I don't call somebody, like I've been in the event space for a long time, and I couldn't tell you how many people that I've seen backstage, hey man, what are you going to talk about? Some of the most famous people that are in this space, and be like, oh no, I'll figure it out when I get up there.
Get the fuck out of here.
Happens a lot, doesn't it? Cameraman's over there. You may not see him. Cameraman goes with me everywhere. It happens a lot, does it? What are you going to talk about? I'll figure it out when I get up there. What the fuck? You didn't prepare at all?
Damn.
Like if you look at anybody in music, they have a set that they perform. Mm-hmm. Any band, they have it. Like if Metallica they just came out with an album a few days ago. they're touring around the world right now. They have a set that they play. It isn't just the
same set.
What song y'all want to play next? No, they know what the fuck they're doing. They're performers. They're professionals. And a lot of these people that seem to be professionals, they just show up and wing it. And I didn't want that. I wanted intention. Hey, no. When you show up at my event, here's what I need you to talk about, right? What it's like come from another country with $800 in your pocket and building your first trailer out in the sweat and sun. And what was it like when you signed? I want you to give me this process. Here's the bullet points. Study this. Give me a presentation. I'll get back to you. Because I want to control what's given to our people, because I don't want Patrick up there asking for money. I don't want Patrick up there with a bunch of fluff and
guys,
shit.
I got an idea.
There's fluff and shit that isn't going to do them any good. I want people who are up there doing real stuff. But I also don't always bring the most famous people either. I bring real people. Last year I had the founder of Wingstop on stage, and nobody knew who the hell he was. And it's funny, we didn't introduce him as the founder of Wingstop, so a lot of people were like, who's the old guy? And then clearly when he talks, everybody's like, well, whoever he is, he knows some shit, right? And everybody started paying attention to him. But if I were to say Antonio Swad, you wouldn't know who that was. Right? But he's the founder of Wingstop, and so many people miss shit like that. I'm always bringing the new thing. Like this year, I've got Aaron Singerman, who's the owner of Redcon. He's kind of been behind the scenes for a long time. He's just now starting to get out on social media with Rob Bailey and those guys, and a lot of people don't realize how big Redcon is. I mean, he's up there with 8, 9 figure or 9, 10 figure per year, volume in his business. It's just huge. We got guys like Cafe Anderson. This dude's been on TV. He's sponsored by some of the biggest brands in America, and the dude's the most entertaining storyteller that I know, and I know them all. And we got Mike Rowe, another entertaining. I think Cafe might have got him whooped. Mike, don't whoop me, Mike, don't whoop me. But Mike is one of the greatest storytellers of all as well. We got Percy Miller. A lot of people know him as Master P. He's going to blow your mind with that guy's like real wisdom comes from experience. And that guy's got real experience and real wisdom that comes out. We've got Billy Jean. This dude he's always ahead of shit, you know, and I was on the webinar the other night with him, and he's teaching AI. This guy's, he's got that shit figured out just as good as he had the video stuff. So he's going to be teaching us old dogs over here about AI and all the cool sites and stuff that he's using and how he's leveraging it and everything else. We just got my mentors, Bobby Castro and Pastor Keith, are going to both be there. So, I mean, just a heck of a lineup. And I'm not supposed to say this publicly, but I'm going to say it anyway because I don't care. But we got Fat Joe performing, and then we've got Twista coming back to perform again. So when we throw an event, it's an event to give the folks in the audience the information they need so that they can go implement it and get the results that they desire. And I'm the facilitator that puts the right people on stage and the right people in the room at the right time, at the right place, so the right things can happen.
And it's not going to break the bank.
That's it. Man, you get $99.
$99.
Yep.
There you go, folks.
You can sit right up front, dead center for $5,000, or you can sit somewhere in the stands for $99. It's up to you, and we don't judge you wherever you sit. We just want you there. We want you in the room. And look, I run this event every year since 2017, and I don't know that I've ever really profited from this event in the sense of, you know, it cost me about $2 million to put it on each year at the level that we're playing now. But I don't know that we sell $2 million worth of tickets. And this year, we've only taken a few sponsors because we really don't want to sell shit. We really want to just create that culture and give people time to come in there. And I say that because, like, I really, truly just want people in there. Right now, you may be listening to this. You may be in New Jersey. You may be in Oregon. You may be in Idaho. You may be somewhere a long ways away from Texas. You might be down in Nicaragua. You might be in the Honduras. You might be a long ways from Texas. But if you can get to Frisco, Texas, which is Dallas, if you can get to Dallas, Texas in June and get in that room, I promise you, miracles have taken place in that room. They took place there last year. They take place every time that we're in the room. When you get around the right people, the right things happen. In the Bible, it's a biblical principle. If one can put 1,000 to flight, meaning if one person could lift 1,000 of something, two people, you would think logically, right, by human math, would be able to lift 2,000. But according to the Bible, two people can put 10,000 to flight. Now, let me put that in normal and say, okay, well, that's fancy stuff from a book or whatever. If you put a Clydesdale and I'm going to botch the numbers here. You can Google this when I'm done with this. But if you put a Clydesdale and you put weight behind it for horsepower, right? Clydesdale can pull about 1,200 pounds, if I remember correctly, right? If you put two Clydesdales together, they can pull over 15,000 pounds together.
Damn.
You think about how many times you pick something heavy as shit. Homeboy helps you out, man. It seems like it ain't nothing.
Yeah.
You know, heaviest thing you ever picked up in your life, your homeboy pick up the other half. It feels like it's a tenth of what it weighed all of a sudden. And it's that same principle. So when you get in the right room with those people that are going to be there, your people, my people, our people, the network, you get in there, you have an idea, they've got funding for it. You've got money, they've got an operator for it. You've got X, they've got a bolt-on service that fits in perfectly with you. I can't tell you how many deals are done in the audience. And the audience is going to be full of a bunch of celebrities too, because that's just how we roll. A bunch of cool-ass people like yourself, you know. You're
First
a food
week of
truck
June.
Celebrity, you know.
First week of June.
You don't realize it, but you are.
Frisco.
That's right.
I'm the food truck king.
Food truck, that's what I'm saying. You know, you're a celebrity. 100,000
Be on
people
the lookout.
in your freaking Facebook group.
When you see Trailer King Builders, come say hello. I'll be at MDM.
That's right.
I'll introduce you to some folks.
Come get a pic.
Bring your notebook, bring a pen, and get ready to take some action. So, bro, thanks a lot for jumping on the podcast when we didn't even know we were going to do this.
We didn't. You know, I flew out here today to see what you got. I want the people out there, not that my voice really may matter to some of you, but it will to some of you. First of all, it's really cool to see the story and what you got going on here, and I'm really proud that you associate this with Apex at all. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
sir.
It really means a lot to me, and look forward to what we got. You know, we got to keep it kind of secret, but we got some cool shit cooking up our sleeves here.
Yes, sir.
It's really exciting. So appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, brother.